Hello and welcome to Daily Chapter Reading of A Life Reset Free, a true story about the love and faithfulness of God by Rena Groot. Circle Square Ranch. Come and hear, all you who fear God, and I will declare what he has done for my soul. Psalm 66:16. Have you noticed that there are places on earth that will live inside you long after you have traveled on? Sometimes you will find yourself among unfamiliar faces only to discover you have found forever friends. Circle Square Ranch is one of those places. I saw an advertisement on a Christian TV program called 100 Huntley Street asking people to volunteer at one of their camps for the summer. There were 10 ranches across Canada. The summer of 1981, John and I applied and we were accepted as volunteers at Circle Square Ranch in Halkirk, Alberta. We did not have children at this time, so we were free to be fully involved at the ranch. It was an incredible place. There was a teepee village for the younger campers with a petting zoo and playground. The older campers stayed at Western Town. It was the coolest place. The dorms looked like Old West storefronts. There was a town hall, bakery, Cooley Laundry, gunsmith, Wells Fargo, Express Post, law office, bank. Whoever came up with the idea to build the ranches to look like an Old West town had a genius idea. A Pony Express rider rode in almost daily to deliver mail. The counselors sent encouraging messages to their campers and each other by Pony Express. One summer, we celebrated happy unbirthdays among the staff daily. It was a challenge to find a gift to give each person. Sometimes we had secret friends and prayed secretly for a week for another staff member. It got kind of crazy. People were trying to outbless each other. One person gave their secret friend a $100 Bible. Another person gave their secret friend my stereo. Yes, you read that correctly. It was such a joyful, fun place to be. Skit night was loved by all. Some of the skits were so hilarious we laughed until we cried. Mark Lefebvre's Martian skit was hysterically funny. Mark tried to fight the enemy in his own strength, which of course came across as being impossible because Satan doesn't fight fair. John and I were famous for the heart skit. It was a mime set to music. The skit started off funny, but slowly turned more serious. Some of the skits, like the Heaven or Hell skit the staff produced, probably inspired a lot of campers to choose to follow Jesus. In the early years at the Halkirk Ranch, we had problems, more like a crisis, with the water. The ranch was built on the crest of a hill near a deep coulee, think small version of the Grand Canyon. The water issue was a surprising blessing. You are wondering how not being able to shower or wash your hair for a week could be a blessing? Well, there was a river close to the ranch. On Saturday afternoons, after the campers left, the staff went to the river. It was our communal bath place. Can you imagine how grateful we were for that river? I had the most wonderful smelling jojoba shampoo. Just imagine over 20 people standing in a river with jojoba smelling sudsy hands. Many people driving by understandably stared at us. There was a bridge there, and some of the braver ones loved to demonstrate their courage by leaping off it. Such awesome memories. One night during teen camp, there were around 100 people in the big teepee worshiping God. Someone began screaming. Their shrieking was actually louder than the 100 singing voices combined. I looked to see where the sounds were coming from and was startled at what I saw. A young lady was screaming with a look of complete terror on her face. The weird thing is a face appeared to be hovering over her face. This is kind of hard to explain. I could see both faces, but the hovering face looked like a grotesque cat face. It had slanted eyes and fangs. I honestly thought I was seeing things. The director, Gary Lefebvre, motioned for me to take her out of the TV. My thought was something like, "Are you crazy?" As the screamer and I left the teepee, I grabbed a few other counselors. We prayed together and then asked Rhonda if she wanted to be set free. A tiny, barely audible voice said yes. John had a vision of Rhonda standing in a cage. He told us there were bars all around her, but what she didn't realize was that the top was open. There was a way of escape. She only thought she was trapped. Rhonda told us she had been involved in the occult. Her grandmother had paid for her to come to the ranch, hoping God would touch her heart there. I think Grandma must have been fasting and praying for Rhonda. She agreed to go, thinking she would like to cause chaos at the ranch. We prayed, and John said he saw the bars fall flat. God set that precious young lady free. The last we heard of her, she had gone to Bible school. Her life was transformed. God is so amazing. At one point, I was asked to be on kitchen duty for a week. I asked God why. I grumbled as I stood to the sink watching campers and staff happily running by the window. I thought I should be with them. After all, I was a certified teacher. I had come to camp for the campers. Washing dishes was not what I had signed up for. God spoke to my heart then, and the basic message was, you have gone from teacher to dishwasher. I went from Lord of all creation, seated on the throne of the universe, to a helpless babe wrapped in rags in an animal's feeding trough. I apologized for my pride and complaining heart and asked Jesus to forgive me. All of a sudden, washing dishes and being a servant to these precious people seemed like an amazing privilege. Circle Square Ranch became a huge part of our lives. We had no idea that would be our summer for years to come. We loved it. All the staff were given quirky names like Bambi, a beautiful girl with huge eyes, and Roper, who was famous for his calf roping skills. Because John had longish hair and a beard, it was decided that his name would be John the Baptist, or JB for short. When John the Baptist baptized Jesus, a dove appeared, so it was decided my camp name would be Dove. After a few weeks, people did not know anyone's real names anymore. I still get messages addressed to Dove. At one point, Bernie Doan, the new director, called and invited us to be on permanent staff in Halkirk, Alberta. This next part is quite surprising. This is not being told to you to be boastful, but to express my amazement that God made us such an integral part of the ranch. Bernie said he asked his children of all the staff that had ever been at the ranch, who did they think should be invited to be on permanent staff. Surprisingly, they unanimously said JB and Dove. We had just started leading the youth at our church in British Columbia when we were invited to be on staff, so we sadly told Bernie it was not possible. After we said no, we agonized over whether we had made a mistake. I remember lying in bed one night after a month later while John and I sadly discussed how we thought we had missed God. John called Bernie to say we would come after all. Unfortunately, Bernie had already called someone else and they had accepted. Bernie suggested we call 100 Huntley Street to see if any other Circle Square ranches were looking for staff. The Manitoba Ranch invited us to fly out to meet their staff and to see if we would be a fit there. I was expecting a baby and almost was not allowed on the plane as it looked like I was due any moment. I had to phone my doctor and have him send a memo to the Vancouver airport that I was really only 6 months pregnant. We almost missed our flight. John told me later he felt God saying no about Manitoba, but we were so desperate to serve God, we said yes. The puzzle pieces are also connected. I have to pause the ranch story to tell you about two of the most loving people I know. Fen and Pierre Ryamersma are dairy farmers. Fen is my husband's sister. They love God and have instilled a love for him in their children. While we were at Square Ranch in 1981, one of the volunteers in the kitchen told us she was so worried about her son. He needed to get away from his environment and find new friends. We called Fen and Pierre to ask if they would like another son. They said yes. Rob lived with them on their dairy farm for years. So when we left Chilliwack in 1994 to move to Circle Square Ranch, Manitoba, we had 2 little girls and I was 9 months pregnant. My baby really was due any minute. Fen and Pierre found people to look after their farm and children while they were away and drove halfway across Canada with us to be there if we needed any help. Amazing people, I am so grateful to them for their kindness. One of the members of the board of directors for Circle Square Ranch in Manitoba, Reverend John Howson, was the director of Bridges for Peace Canada. He invited us to visit the Bridges for Peace offices in Winnipeg. This began a love affair with Bridges for Peace that has continued to this day. We stayed at Circle Square Ranch in Manitoba for 6 months, but our hearts were at the ranch in Halkirk. John called the director, and Bernie said amazingly the operations manager position was open. We drove through a blizzard in November with our 2 little girls and our baby to get to Halkirk. For the next 2 years, John was so busy at the ranch operations manager we barely saw him. One day, Bernie sadly told us 100 Huntley Street was experiencing financial difficulties and he would have to let us go. We moved to Stettler, and John began double Dutch contracting with Etienne Brugman, the ranch's program director, who was also asked to leave. The next puzzle pieces were being dropped into their places.